My favorite memory of Grandma is when she told me she brought my family portrait that I made when I was little to Relief Society, and they all loved it.
So I actually have a few memories with Grandma. I really like having Brainer. That's always a favorite of mine. I liked it when we went and got out this typewriter from Francine because I do use it and I really enjoy it. And I like to remember all the Christmases we've had together, and we'll put this here to represent that.
My favorite memory of Grandma. I've got two. One is, I don't really remember this. I vaguely remember it. We were at the Hogle Zoo. There's pictures of it in one of Grandpa's many photo albums. But we were at the Hogle Zoo, and I had this fan that was also a water gun. And Grandma bent over, and I think it was Kara that said, "Hey Lincoln, go spray Grandma in the butt." And I was terrified. I was so scared, but I did it. That was maybe one of my first steps for making me braver. And the other was when I famously sledded off the rock wall at your Grandma and Grandpa's house in the winter, and I dragged myself upstairs, and everyone was laughing at me because I had blood going all the way down and a black eye, and everyone thought it was so funny, and Grandma was the only one who was nice to me and said, "Lincoln, come on, I'll get you an aspirin and we'll clean you up." And those are my two favorite memories.
My favorite memory of Grandma probably has to be after I fell off the bed when I was in the emergency room and they were getting everything ready. And I was just laying there holding Grandma's hand, and I remember even though I was gonna go into a scary situation, she was just there with me and telling me that it was gonna be okay. And that was really a good thing. And I just remember in that moment, she taught me to be brave, and it would be over and everything was gonna be okay. No matter how scary something seems, you're probably gonna come out okay, and that's really stayed with me. When I'm scared, I just kind of remember that moment when I was lying there with her hand in mine, and I remember wanting to feel brave for her, so that's why whenever I have to do something scary, I remember that moment, and I know I'm gonna make it out okay.
After I had Petra and I had all those complications with my incision, it was a difficult time, and I had such horrible postpartum depression with Will. I was really scared that same thing was going to happen with Petra, and then I have these medical complications on top of everything. But those actually became kind of a blessing in disguise, because you would leave work in Ogden, drive all the way to Syracuse, which increased your commute time, probably doubled it at least, every night, and you would come to our house and change my bandages and check up on me, and almost every single time you brought us dinner, and that meant so much to me. I don't know if I expressed it enough at the time, but there was this light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how difficult my day was, no matter how sad or overwhelmed I felt, Mom was coming. I knew you were coming. At the end of the day, I looked forward to that time more than anything else. Don't tell Trent, but more than him coming home too. Because I knew that you would make things okay. And you've always had that power for me. I feel like I know that Mom will always come when I need her. If I need to complain about my boss, or if one of my kids is sick, or if I am feeling conflicted about something, or just sad, or whatever it is, I know that I can call you, and that you've got my back, and that you have always been my biggest supporter and cheerleader, and I really appreciate that.
I remember when Will was born, he had to go in for an emergency C-section, and Melissa and I were both very scared, and Kayleen bravely volunteered to go in with Melissa so that I did not have to go in and pass out, because I'd already almost passed out earlier when Melissa got the epidural. So that was very nice of her to go and take care of Melissa and welcome Will into the world.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom. I just wanted to share my love for you on this special day. It's definitely a strange Mother's Day. One we will hopefully never experience like this again, and one that we'll never forget, for sure. I was thinking about all the memories I have of you and with you, and was thinking about my earliest, well, not my earliest memory, but one that I remember in a group setting is all the times you would teach Joy School at our home in Riverdale, and how excited I was when it was finally our turn to have all the kids at our house and watching you teach in that setting. I loved that. I've loved watching you teach throughout my life, whether it's been in a church setting or at home. I've just loved watching you teach. I also have great memories of all of our family trips that we've been on, all of those fun times that we spent together as a family, and the memories that we've made with each other. I remember with your job, you had the opportunity to travel to lots of different places, and how excited I was to be able to visit new places, and the museums you took us to, and the things that we learned as we traveled together, and the memories we made are unforgettable. I remember all the time you took care of me when I was sick, not only just with normal sickness, but with big illnesses, and especially when I had my double summer jaw surgery, which was awful for you, I'm sure, but all the time you spent taking care of me and nurturing me. You and Dad were so wonderful during that time. I remember a particular time during that summer, one of those summers, when my mouth was wired shut and I couldn't eat, so I would eat with a syringe, and you had made chili, and I love your chili, and so you ground it up, and I used a syringe to put the chili in my mouth, but a little pepper got stuck, and I pushed too hard on the plunger, and the chili exploded all over me. And that first moment of panic, I remember you running over, not knowing if I had thrown up or was choking, because my mouth was wired shut. But then when I moved my head and we realized I had a halo of chili around my head. And then me laughing with my mouth wired shut and you laughing at that moment. And it just brought just a lighthearted time in an awful situation.
Oh, hi. Just looking at this Star Trek collectible plate that my mother gave me that I hold dear. I think that one of the fondest memories I have, and I don't know why this sticks out, is we went to the drive-in once, and I remember sitting in the green Chevette watching the movie Gung Ho with Michael Keaton. And at the Motorview Drive-In, they had two screens. One, we were watching Gung Ho, and I remember the other screen was Top Gun. And I kept looking over at Top Gun, and Mom would say, "No, we're not watching that movie. We're not watching that movie." But I thought that is one of my fondest memories. I don't know. I guess it was the chance that we had to spend time together. I also remember that the very first thing I ever earned money for was Slave One, which was Boba Fett's ship. And I laid sod for it, and she took me to the toy store right by the Newgate Mall, and was excited to let me buy something with my first time. So just these times that we were able to spend together, and I appreciated that.
One of my favorite memories of Kayleen is also a very early memory of Kayleen in my association with her. It was Mother's Day. It was probably my second Mother's Day as a mother to Lincoln and Marina, and we traveled to Mountain Green to hear her speak in sacrament meeting on Mother's Day. And I remember her telling this story about how she had lost her cool and had chased Melissa down the street with I believe it was a wooden spoon, but that visual made me smile, and the takeaway for me has been really, really important. And I guess there's a couple takeaways. One is that moms aren't perfect, that sometimes they lose their cool, and that life goes on, and that as families we make things right and we get over it, and we all have those experiences. And the second thing that I think is really, really important is that it's important that we don't pretend that we're perfect, that those less than ideal moments when we lose our cool, that it's okay to share those with other people. And for me, it made me at that time feel much better about some of my feelings of being overwhelmed and sometimes really frustrated. And it's still something with little baby Evelyn that I remember, that it's okay to be frustrated, that it's okay to have moments that are less than ideal, and that it's even better to share those and let other people know that none of us are perfect and we're all just trying to be better. So she just is an amazing example of a mother to me.
Memories. I have many. Maybe near the top of the list would be the Lund summer parties that I was introduced to that culminated in birthdays. And the birthday celebration would be with cake and ice cream, and then we'd open these cards. And Kayleen, you were the consummate card selector. You had the knack of selecting cards that were really mean but really funny. I don't know how you kept your secrets from everybody on where the best cards were to be found, but you held that card close to your chest. The other part about birthday parties that I remember is the fact that you'd make a cake, a special cake for all of our kids on their birthdays. And you'd go to providing all the details. Ryan had his Superman cake, and Kara and Melissa had their special character type cakes, whatever they happened to be their fancy at the time. But you always made a special cake, and that's one thing you did in birthdays in general. You made them special, and the gifts that you would provide would always be unique and something that everybody really enjoyed. Thanks for the good birthdays.
So something that Grandma has taught me is how to care for myself, like how to stay healthy, how to have good dental hygiene, and that's something she's played a big part.
Something Grandma has taught me is to wear socks because my feet are dirty and cold.
I've learned that Grandma's taught me that you should always cherish family, and you should be nice to your family, and visit them often, and if you do things for them, they will likely do things back. And yeah, Grandma has taught me that family is worth keeping around.
Some of the most important things Grandma has taught me, just by her example, watching the importance of service within the family. Grandma does basically everything all the time and doesn't even expect anything back. She just does it because she loves us. And I've always admired that about her, her eagerness to serve. And she's also taught me the importance of just letting people do their own thing. Whenever we're all together as a family, she doesn't have really a plan for us. She just says, do whatever you want. And she adapts to that, which is awesome.
So something that I feel like I have learned from you, Mom, or a quality that I have absorbed from being your daughter and being in your presence, is tenacity and grit. I feel like you have always been a person that is going to accomplish the thing she sets out to do, no matter what it is. And that is something that I like to hope that I have in myself as well. And I really value the example you provided of just always being high achieving, always doing your best, always pushing to reach that next level. And you know, we have this joke in our family that if the best way to get me to do something is to tell me that I can't do it. And I have this sort of determination to prove people wrong when they make assumptions about me and what I can and can't do. And I think a lot of that comes from watching you and seeing you persevere and push through things even when they're hard or difficult, or you're the only woman in the room. Whatever it is, you know, you persevered and you achieved and continue to achieve so much in your life because of that. And I'm really grateful to have sort of absorbed that quality.
One thing that I know about Kayleen is that she is kind and that she is perceptive of the needs of others and is willing to help them. And that is something that I see in Melissa as well. And I'm very grateful to Melissa for the many opportunities that she gives me to notice when other people need something and to help them. And I think that is something that she very much got from her mom.
If I had to pick one quality that I find within myself that I learned from you, Mom, it would be the love of learning. I have watched from the time I was a small child to an adult how much you love learning. And you have instilled that love of learning in me, in all of us. I remember never wondering if I would go to college, but when I went to college, it was just always an expectation I put upon myself because I knew that learning was important, and I knew that was important. I'm grateful that I even had time to watch you teach others, that you've taught me. I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned from you and from the example that you are to me. You are a great example to all those around you. Your love of learning is contagious. I love to watch you, even just in these little polo videos that we've had while we've been quarantined, watching you teach all of us, and especially Lincoln and Marina and Will and Petra and Evelyn. I love that you love learning, and I'm grateful that you have instilled that in me. I hope to be as an impactful teacher as you have been in my life to those around me. I love you, Mom. Thank you for instilling the love of learning in me. I love you.
The thing that I learned from Mom most is the power of humor. Mom would always tell me, and still does, that sometimes you just have to laugh. That humor really is the best medicine. Laughter is the best medicine. I also remember, and it still sticks in my mind, something she says to me still now, is that everyone gets what they get in the end. So there's really no reason to be so upset or angry with things, because at the end of the day, whether in this life or the next, everyone gets what they get, and that we should spend more time thinking about our lives and how to make our situations better than trying to be upset and angry over other people. Of course, there's the science fiction and the power of imagination and the wonderful library. All of those things, I think, are from Mom, and I'm eternally grateful for those. So, happy Mother's Day, Mom. And Bones and his colleagues are enjoying their stay in Enoch, Utah.
Something I learned from Kayleen early on is graciousness. That she taught me how to be gracious to people even when they are being dumb, when they're being whatever that I don't like. That's one word I would describe Kayleen as, and that I aspire to be, which is gracious.
Hi, honey, you have some great qualities. I'm so blessed to have you in my life. There are so many things that you do that add quality to my life. But one thing that comes to my mind that I've really appreciated about you is how thoughtful you are and how creative you are in your thoughtfulness. I don't know how many times a month or even in a week you write a note to someone because you like to congratulate them, or because they've had something happen in their life. And the other thing that you do along with that's kind of creative is that you've been this collector of forever stamps, and you love putting a stamp on the envelope that meets the criteria of the event or the person that you're sending things to. So for an example, for Marina, you'd use a Wonder Woman stamp, and for Melissa and me, you'd use bird stamps, and for Petra, you'd use a gerbil stamp. For those who are interested in Star Trek, you'd use a Star Trek stamp. For William, you had train stamps. Guess who this stamp's note would go on? And you'd even have special stamps for seasons like Christmas. What a great person you are in that regard. You've always been thoughtful, always been willing to share in the times that are important in people's lives. Love you for that.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom. I love you. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Grandma. We love you.
Happy Mother's Day, Kayleen. You're such a great mom. And I love you for all of it. It's been a good ride. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day! We love you!
We did way better than Ryan and Cammie's family.
Yep.